Hey everyone, I'm Zhao Chuan, and in this video I'm going to break down how I shot this super cinematic short film, Alive, on an ultra low budget. I'll be walking you through the gear I used, camera, lenses, lighting setup, and more. This short film was actually an assessment I did with my classmates, also the director Drew, during our first year of uni. We were absolutely broke and had to use the cheapest gear possible. We didn't even have a proper video transmitter. And in terms of crew, there were only 3 of us, including myself and our sound guy, because 2 of our crew members, they didn't even care about filmmaking or their grades. They just didn't show up. Drew handled screenwriting, producing, art direction, basically everything. And that's how we managed to finish the filming in just 2 days. As the cinematographer, I feel so lucky to be part of a team that allowed me to focus purely on the visuals. I'm telling you all of this so you know how little it costs us to pull this off. If we can do it, so can you. Alright, let's start with gears, the stuff money can buy. At the time, I was collaborating with Sony to review the ZV-E1. Although it's marketed as a vlog camera, it actually has the exact same sensor and image quality as the FX3 and FX6. So the entire short film was shot on the ZV-E1. Since we were filming in short takes, the ZV-E1 overheated once across 2 full shooting days. Lens choice has a bigger impact on the image than the camera body itself, and lens selection should always support your script. In fact, every part of cinematography should visually serve the story. So after talking to Drew, I learned this was going to be an emotionally complex one-man show focused solely on the main character. That made me think of using vintage lens with anamorphic combos that has strong center sharpness and heavy edge blur or bokeh to attract the audience attention onto the performance. So I chose a Helios 44-2 58mm, a Dual-Lens 85mm, both paired with the Blada Nero 1.5 times anamorphic adapter. And I also used the Sony 2070 f4 for some specific wide-angle shots. About 90% of the shots were done with the Helios 44-2 and the Blada adapter. The Helios is a Soviet-era lens and costs around only 80 Australian dollars. But paired with the Blada anamorphic, the results are super stylized. Both I and Blada really love how the footage turned out. In fact, after seeing the film, Blada ended up sponsoring me with their full set of Remus 1.5 times anamorphic lenses, so I could keep creating better work throughout my university career. Massive thanks to everyone who supports me on this journey. Unfortunately, the Dual-Lens with the Blada adapter didn't work well. The combo couldn't really focus properly, so I'm here to save you the trouble. I ended up selling the Dual-Lens. But even so, instead of spending a lot investing pricey modern mirrorless lenses, broke cinematographers like me often prefer to spend small and get unique visual character. The Helios 44-2 is one way, but you can also check out vintage lenses like Canon FD. They are the lenses from the 70s. They will definitely make your look different. Of course, don't chase the look just for the sake of it. Like I said earlier, everything visual should serve your story. Now let's move on to lighting, while I also break down some key cinematography techniques from the film. The film opens with scenes shot entirely in 100% natural light. It was a cloudy day with soft, even light, so we didn't even use diffusion or flags. The moody, overcast lighting ended up working perfectly with the main character's performance. The mailbox shot was actually filmed at a different location. We got lucky to find a mailbox we could stick the lens into for that unique perspective. That shot was one of the few used in the Sony 2070 f4, specifically for its wide angle. Alright, let's move on to indoor lighting setup. Inside, we only use a single 100 watts key light and 2 cheap IKEA desk lamps. Let me break down a few key shots. I started by layering down a base exposure with the 100 watt key light. This keeps the shadows from being pure black and losing detail. Even if you craft the shadows in post, it's better to light the shadows a bit clearly to avoid noise. Then we added 2 IKEA lamps with warm light to create contrast and mood. Look, this is a young, dumb, broke student film, so this rough lighting method isn't ideal. In the proper setup, you should replace the bulbs inside of those IKEA lamps with dimmable, flicker-free LED bulbs. This kind of light allows you to adjust brightness and color temperature, and you can also screw them into any E27 socket. Then you should dim the bulb so it doesn't overexpose the nearby props, and then place an off-camera warm light source to stimulate the same direction of light hitting the actor. This is how we create practical light and also motivated light. Same goes for the edge light on the back of the actor. We should have replaced it with a proper fixture too, but when you're a broke student, the key is to understand lighting theory and work with whatever you got. Alright, let's move on to the next shot. the sunset shot. Filming during actual sunset is tricky. The light changes literally every second. By the time we shot this, the sun had already dipped below the horizon. So we use our key light to fake the sunset light. A sunset light should look soft but high contrast. Soft means smooth transition between light and shadow. High contrast means a big luminous difference between highlights and shadows. To make it feel even more real, I asked the director to wave a tree branch in front of the light. This creates some nice organic shadows. We also use narrow lighting here. That's when the side of the face closest to the camera is in shadow and the far side is lit. It creates a more dramatic vibe, perfect for emotional scenes. Next, since we already established sunset, our audience know there won't be any sunset in the room anymore. Now we could use our key light as the main light rather than a base fill. The smaller or further the light source, the harder light you'll get. Moreover, a desk lamp on the table added some edge lighting to separate the actor from the dark background. Now moving on to our montage sequence. This fast cut sequence was super raw. We just used the desk lamp on the floor as a main light source. The table lamp stayed as a visual accent. This was the climax of the film, full of fast cuts and dramatic tension. So a harsh lighting style was actually fitting. Still, like I said before, if you have the budget, swap those bulbs for dimmable LEDs. So before I break down the lighting for the next shot, let me mention an often overlooked factor in cinematic visuals: motion blur. I've noticed many new filmmakers or film students only treat shutter speed or shutter angle as exposure to. Some of them don't even understand the purpose of using ND filters. Yes, shutter speed affects exposure, but in serious moving image work, it is mainly used to control motion blur. Proper motion blur adds drama and energy to your shot. Whenever you pause a moving shot, the blur makes the still feel dynamic, like there's a potential energy in the frame. Art directions, lighting, camera movement, composition, motion blur, all these details combined are what elevate a film visually. The next thing is melancholic, so we used warm light from the key light again, and added the desk lamp for lighting layering. The table lamp stayed in the background as a visual accent. As for camera movement, I moved the camera by handheld to match the actor's emotional performance. As a cinematographer, everything in the frame must serve the story. Unfortunately, the camera movement here looks a bit strange because I forgot to turn off the camera stabilization, so we ended up with some janky, artificial looking motion. Not totally my fault though. I usually work with proper cinema cameras and they don't even have stabilizations built in. This function is not reliable when it comes to professional production. That's why you will never see an image stabilization on a narrow cinema camera. When I got my FX3, the first thing I did was to disable all stabilizations. Every time I praise the cinema camera in my camera review video, someone always comments, "Bro, it doesn't even have IBIS. What a trash camera." I never know how to reply to that. If you are planning to go into the filmmaking industry, please learn your camera properly. Not through watching review videos, but bring your camera to produce film. Alright, back to our breakdown. Next shot, same lighting setup as before, just from a different angle. Here you can really see the Helios 40-42's unique flares and swirly bokeh. I love this kind of texture. In the final shot, I snuck the desk lamp a little closer to make the key light even softer and brighter on the actor, so we can separate him more clearly from the background. And that's pretty much it for the cinematography breakdown of Alive. I hope this video was helpful. I'm Zhao Chuan, and I'll be making more cinematography breakdowns of my short films and documentaries in the future. So if you are into that, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.